They mocked me for trying to act involved. So I stopped involving myself in anything but my own life. The credit line closed with me. My name is Alex. I'm 44. Megan and I have been married for 6 years. She came with baggage. Not the emotional kind you unpack slowly, but the living, breathing kind that leaves crumbs in the couch cushions and slams doors harder than necessary. Jake, 17. Ellie, 15. From her first marriage, though you'd never hear her say it out loud like that. With them, it was always just the kids. Never our kids. I don't have children of my own. Never did. Never got the chance. So I gave everything to hers. Pickups from practice. New tires for Jake's car. A refurbished MacBook when Ellie's started glitching before midterms. I didn't buy love, but I rented proximity. I told myself that was enough. That being in the photo, even blurry, was better than being cropped out. But they laughed. Not to my face. No, teenagers are clever that way. Behind my back, when they thought I couldn't hear. Little barbs, flung casually like gum wrappers. He's trying too hard. Thinks he's our dad. God, he doesn't get it. I'd catch snippets through the walls, words slipping under door frames like smoke. And Megan? She'd be across the room, eyes on her phone, smiling faintly, pretending not to hear. That hurt worse than the laughter. Still, I tried. Jake liked basketball. I got us season tickets. Cheap ones way up in the nosebleeds, but tickets all the same. I drove him to games, bought hot dogs, learned stats I didn't care about just to keep a conversation alive. First time, he sat beside me in silence. Second time, he brought a friend and asked if I could sit a few rows back so they could talk without it being awkward. The third time, I didn't go. I gave him the tickets and watched them leave from the kitchen window. Ellie was into digital art, so I paid for an Adobe course and offered her my office as a studio. She thanked me once, clipped and dry. 2 days later, she taped a sign to the office door that read, "Do not enter unless you gave birth to me." I laughed when I first saw it. A dry, miserable sound. Megan said it was a joke. She didn't mean it like that. But kids mean everything the first time. It's only later that adults teach them to pretend they didn't. Birthdays were the hardest. I remembered the small things. Jake liked chocolate chip pancakes and that energy drink that smelled like battery acid. Ellie hated being sung to and loved anything in teal. I stayed up late wrapping presents, checking wish lists, decorating cakes that always ended up half-eaten and mostly ignored. Jake once opened a vintage jersey I tracked down from an old memorabilia dealer. An exact replica of the one his favorite player wore in high school. He held it up, nodded once, and asked Megan if his dad had sent anything. Ellie blew out her candles without a smile. I had the camera ready, recording, waiting for the moment to come alive. But she just stood and left the room. Megan told me not to take it personally. They're going through a phase. It was a very long phase. When Christmas rolled around, they wanted to visit their grandparents, Megan sighed. I asked if we could do a dinner at home afterward, just the 4 of us. Megan said she'd think about it. Jake said, "Why? It's not like your blood." I laughed again. That same dry sound. A dead leaf on concrete. I don't think he even meant it cruelly. That was the part that stuck with me. It was just truth to him. Like weather. I kept giving. Because what else was there? One winter I shoveled the entire driveway before sunrise. 3 feet of snow. Jake slept through it. Ellie posted a photo on Instagram with the caption "Mom's boyfriend out here being the unpaid butler." It got likes. Megan showed me and smiled like it was cute. When Ellie started showing interest in colleges, I helped her draft applications. Spent hours researching art schools. Paid for portfolio reviews. She got into her top choice. Her Instagram thanked Mom and Dad with a picture of her mother and her biological father. A man who hadn't shown up to a school event in 4 years. And Megan? She said, "Let it go. She's just trying to keep the peace." Whose peace? Eventually, I started keeping track. Not of money, that was long gone, but of effort. The rides. The meals. The quiet sacrifices. It added up. It always does. It builds into something heavy that you can't name, not until someone drops it on you. When summer came, I tried again. A reset, I called it. suggested a trip to a mountain lodge, a place with clean air and weak cell signals. We could unplug, talk, maybe just breathe in the same room. Megan didn't say no. She didn't say anything. She looked at the kids. Jake barely glanced up. "You don't decide that," he said. "Mom and I will figure it out." "Not we. Not us. Mom and I." Ellie didn't even flinch. "Can we not do something boring for once?" Her tone flat, dismissive. She was already lost in a screen, the world reduced to pixels and posts. I stood there with my laptop open, an itinerary half-written and a budget already set aside. I stood there with plans I thought we made together, and I realized I wasn't part of the decision. I was the ATM that funded it. Later that night, I told Megan it bothered me, that I felt invisible. Not in the melodramatic way, but in the quiet, daily erosion kind of way. That I just wanted to be considered. Not obeyed. Not adored. Just seen. She sighed. "They're kids, Alex. They're used to it being just me and them. It's been 6 years. They're still adjusting. Adjusting. As if I were a splinter under their skin." The next morning, I made eggs. My small gesture of peace. Jake didn't come downstairs. Ellie took one look and said, "You don't know how I like them." She was right. I didn't. I'd been guessing for 6 years. That night, I checked our family plan. 5 phone lines. 4 streaming services. 3 devices on a Wi-Fi router I replaced last month. My card. My name. My money. Not one login used my name. I remembered when Jake's laptop crashed junior year. Megan called me crying. "He needs it for school." I left work early, spent my bonus on a new one, and delivered it. He never said thank you. When I brought it up once, offhand, Megan said, "You didn't do it for the thanks." She was right. I did it to belong, but I never did. The shift came quiet, like breath before a scream. 2 days before the trip that was no longer mine, I walked into the living room and found them huddled around Ellie's phone. Megan, Jake, Ellie, laughing, whispering. Ellie turned the screen when she saw me, like a teenager hiding a secret. I asked what was going on. Megan hesitated. Then she said it, soft, like it didn't matter. They invited Zach to the trip. Zach, their biological father. A man who hadn't shown up more than twice in 3 years. The same Zach who missed Ellie's art showcase because he lost track of the date, and who sent Jake a gift card with the strip already scratched off and unreadable. That's Zach. I looked at her, waiting for the joke. There wasn't one. "They want him there too," she said. "He's still their dad. Still their dad. No matter what." That was the unspoken rule. He could vanish for months, and they'd still leave the door unlocked. I nodded, said nothing, walked upstairs. That night, Jake found me in the kitchen. He opened the fridge, pulled out a soda, leaned against the counter, and looked me dead in the face. "You're not really family," he said. Then he walked out. No flare of anger. No drama. Just a sentence. A brick dropped from a rooftop. I stood there with the fridge still open, cold air brushing my legs, and felt the last thread inside me snap. That was the moment I made my decision. I canceled the booking. $8,000 gone with a few clicks. The cabin rental, the SUV, the prepaid hiking tour, all of it undone. I opened a new tab, booked myself a flight to Utah solo hiking retreat, no signal, no noise. I didn't even bother with a return date. Then I wrote a note. Not a letter. Not a speech. Just this. "Since I'm not family, you're welcome to go with someone who is. I'm done involving myself in decisions and in finances." I left it on the fridge, right where Jake had stood hours earlier. Then I packed, turned off my phone, closed my email. I didn't even leave a forwarding address. Just disappeared. And for the first time in 6 years, I felt my lungs expand all the way. I didn't know how long I'd been holding my breath until I finally exhaled. The air in Utah hit different. Thinner. Cleaner. It didn't smell like someone else's leftovers. I woke up with no alarms. Ate without having to ask what anyone else wanted. Hiked until my legs shook. Then sat on cliff edges for hours, letting the silence eat the noise that had lived in my head for years. On the second day, my voicemail filled up. Megan, you should have told me. The kids are upset. We could have talked. But we had. For years. I just didn't scream. Jake didn't call. Ellie didn't write. Only Megan. A single voice suddenly panicked. Too late. I stayed off the grid for a week. Walked 15 miles a day. Ate from cans. Slept under stars. And in the quiet, I started to unravel the math of my life. It was always me. When the roof leaked, I fixed it. When the dog got sick, I paid the vet. When Jake totaled the bumper on Megan's car, I covered the insurance hike. Every birthday, every holiday, every school bill. My name on the dotted line. My hands on the wrench. My wallet at the ready. But when decisions were made, when moments mattered, I was nobody. Megan used to call me her rock. That was the word. But rocks don't get thanked. They just get stood on. Back home, I imagined them scrambling. The kids realizing Zach couldn't foot the bill. Megan realizing she'd have to explain why I was gone. I wondered if they blamed me. Probably. But blame is just grief in a costume. I flew back 8 days later. Quietly. Didn't tell anyone. Took a cab from the airport. Slipped through the front door. The house was still standing. But it felt hollow. Megan was in the kitchen. She turned, startled. Her face broke. Relief. Shame. Confusion. We talked. She cried. I didn't. I was calm. Clear. I told her I wasn't leaving her. That wasn't the point. But I was done being the background noise of this family. I wouldn't vanish, but I wouldn't be used either. If I'm not family, I said, then I'm not financing one. She didn't argue. Maybe because she knew it was true. Or maybe because some part of her had stopped seeing me too. Over the next week, I took stock. Canceled the kids' allowances. Removed myself from the shared Amazon account. Stopped paying for Spotify, Hulu, Netflix. Locked the credit card tied to Jake's car expenses. I even left the group chat. No announcement. Just action. Megan asked what she should tell them. Tell them whatever you want, I said. They made their point. Now I'm making mine. She didn't push back. Jake didn't speak to me for weeks. Ellie avoided eye contact. The house became a museum of swallowed tension. But I didn't waver. Not this time. 3 weeks in, Megan started therapy. Her idea. I didn't ask for it. Just came home one evening and she said, I need to understand what I allowed. That meant something. 2 months later, Jake knocked on my office door. Said he wanted to grab dinner after practice. No apology. No warmth. But it was something. We sat in a booth. Shared awkward silence over cold fries. He asked how the Utah trip was. I told him about the stars. That was it. Ellie left a card on my desk a few days later. Handwritten. 3 sentences. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. You've done more for us than anyone. I just didn't see it until you were gone. I didn't cry, but I folded the card carefully and placed it in my drawer. I wasn't naive. That didn't fix anything. Didn't erase years of quiet erasure. But it cracked something. And in that new space, that fracture, I started to grow back into myself. I stopped doing things to be accepted. Stopped pouring effort into a well that never gave back. Now, if I give, it's because I choose to. Not because I need the scraps of being tolerated. Because sometimes love isn't about presence. It's about absence. And what grows in its place. 3 months passed. Seasons shifted. Ellie's school changed schedules. Jake got his driver's license renewed. Life went on. Like it always does. Just with one less hand quietly signing checks behind the curtain. I returned to routine. Not their routine. Mine. Woke up at 5. Walked the block before sunrise. Made coffee for 1. Not out of spite, out of clarity. I realized how much of myself had been absorbed into their needs. How little had remained. They lived like they were owed. I lived like I had to earn a seat in my own house. Not anymore. Megan noticed. She didn't say it outright, but her behavior shifted. Softer. Quieter. She no longer asked if I could cover school trip fees or just this once spot Jake some gas money. She started handling her side. I started observing mine. There was distance now. Not cold. Not cruel. Just real. One evening, Jake knocked on my door again. Said his car battery died. Not a demand. A question. I can help, I said. But you'll have to pay me back. He hesitated. Then nodded. The next day, $60 in 20s appeared on my desk. That's how change begins. Not with flowers. With receipts. But change doesn't reach everyone at once. Ryan, Jake's cousin, was turning 16. They were throwing a party at Megan's sister's house. Ellie begged for new shoes. Expensive ones. Designer. Not an ask, an expectation. Megan came to me. Her voice was careful. She's hoping you'll help. I'm not her hope anymore, I said. The look on Megan's face, a blend of recognition and regret, told me she understood. But it still hurt. That week, Ellie didn't speak to me at all. Skipped breakfast. Slammed doors. Megan tried to play peacekeeper. Said Ellie was just sensitive lately. I didn't bite. I'd seen where that road ended. 2 days later, I got a call from the school. Jake had listed me as his emergency contact. He'd gotten into a fight. Nothing serious, pushing match after practice, but he needed a ride. I picked him up. He didn't say much. Neither did I. But halfway home, he asked if I still had that old boxing bag in the garage. I do, I said. He nodded. Might want to use it. That night, I heard the dull thump of fists against canvas. Not rage. Just rhythm. Ellie stayed distant. Megan kept asking if things were okay. Things are real, I said. That's better than okay. Then the bill finally came due. A letter. From Ellie's college of choice. She'd been accepted, early admission. Art program. The same one I'd researched, bookmarked, priced out before any of this began. She left the envelope on the counter like bait. Megan saw it first. She teared up. Ellie beamed. But no one looked at me. I waited. 2 days. Nothing. On the third morning, Megan brought it up. She got in. She's over the moon. That's great, I said. She wants to talk to you. Ellie shuffled into the room like a child waiting for punishment. Eyes low, shoulders tight. I know I haven't been fair to you, she said. I know I hurt you. I was angry. I didn't even know why. But I get it now. You were there. Every time. And I didn't see it. She paused. Looked up. I want to make things right. I nodded. Start with honesty. She hesitated. I need help. With tuition? She nodded. I didn't answer right away. I walked to the fridge, poured myself a glass of water. The silence stretched. Then I said, I'll think about it. She looked stunned. But, no promises, I said. Not anymore. If I help, it's because I believe in you, not because I owe you. She left the room in tears. Megan didn't speak to me for 2 days. Then she broke. Not in rage, in truth. I let them treat you like an accessory, she said. I kept thinking it would fix itself. That they'd grow up and see you. They saw me, I said. They just didn't value what they saw. I want to do better. Then do it. Don't say it. So she did. She pulled Ellie aside. Told her I wasn't a bank. That respect wasn't negotiable. That this was the consequence of years of dismissal. Ellie came back. Apologized again. Real tears this time. Not desperation, recognition. I didn't just take you for granted, she said. I erased you. I said nothing. Just handed her a notebook. Inside, a breakdown of costs, deadlines, aid applications. Everything she'd need to pay for school with or without me. She worked on it for weeks. Built a plan. Applied for grants. Talked to her dad. He ghosted her. That was its own lesson. Eventually, I chipped in. Not all of it, but enough. She didn't thank me with words. She did better. She cleaned the dishes that night. Unasked. Jake followed suit. Small things. Raking leaves. Washing his car. Asking if I needed anything when he went out. The house shifted. Not into love. Not yet. But into respect. Megan and I started spending evenings on the porch again. Quiet talks. Not about the kids, about us. about where we lost track of each other, about who we became while we were busy trying to be what everyone else needed. One night, she asked if I still loved them. I don't know, I said, but I'm learning how to love myself again. We sat in silence after that, a silence that wasn't empty. It was earned, because that's what happens when the bill comes due. You either pay or you change. And for once, they chose change. Megan and I are still married. But what we have now is something else. Not broken, just sober. No illusions. No fantasies of one perfect unit, stitched seamlessly by effort and time. We share a home. We share years. But the family we once pretended we were, that died quietly, the night I walked away with nothing but a backpack and a folded itinerary in the trash. What came after was real. Uneven, jagged, sometimes cold, but honest. I no longer walk on eggshells. I don't do things just to keep the peace. I stopped bleeding myself dry to be good enough for a table I was never invited to. And strangely, in doing that, I became more visible. Jake talks to me now. Not often. Not deeply. But when he does, it's without condescension. We speak like two men in the same house, not a guest and a resident. He asks questions about work, car maintenance, insurance. Nothing in asterisk mate, but something resembling trust. One night, I heard him on the phone with a friend. They were joking, laughing. Then he said something that stopped me cold. My stepdad's all right. He shows up. He didn't know I was in the hallway. He didn't say it for me. That made it real. Ellie is different. Softer now. She brings her laptop into the kitchen sometimes and shows me her art. Not with expectation, with pride. She asks for feedback. She listens. One afternoon, she found me outside staining the deck. Without a word, she put on gloves and helped. Later, she said, "You didn't have to stay, but you did." I didn't answer. I just kept brushing. Because that's the thing no one tells you about fatherhood, especially the kind not forged in blood. It's not about the big speeches. It's not about titles or acknowledgement. It's about presence. Silent, repeated, relentless. I've learned to live my own life again. Not around them, alongside them. I wake early. Read more. Took up woodworking in the garage. I built a bookshelf with my own hands. Not because anyone needed it, but because I wanted to. That matters now. Doing things for me. When bills come in, I look at them closely. If it's mine, I pay it. If it's not, I don't. No more quiet rescues. No more financial hostage-taking disguised as love. Megan respects the line. She doesn't ask. She manages her share. And when emergencies come, we talk. As equals, not beggar and benefactor. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't walked away. If I'd kept paying. Kept smiling. Kept choking down my resentment with each automatic payment. Would they have ever seen me? I doubt it. Took my absence to make my value visible. It took silence to reveal the noise. And it took the collapse to finally build something worth standing in. Now, when I sit at the table, I don't wonder if I belong. I don't listen for laughter behind closed doors, trying to decode if I'm the joke again. Because I stopped needing their permission to exist. One morning, Megan made coffee. Brought me a cup without asking. Sat across from me in the sunlit kitchen. "I think we're better now," she said. "We're clearer," I replied. Clarity isn't comfort, but it's peace. And that's what I have now. Not love from a Hallmark card. Not the warm embrace of children who rush to call me Dad. No, I have something colder, sharper, respect. And if I ever feel it slipping, I know what to do. I'll leave again. Not out of anger, but because I learned the cost of staying where you're not valued. It's not just your money that disappears. It's your identity. I won't lose mine again. Now I only live my own life. I don't offer myself in exchange for crumbs. I don't overextend in the hope that one day, someone might look back and say, "He was good." I'm not interested in posthumous gratitude. I live for today, for clean lines, for earned connection. And when someone needs me, they ask. When they thank me, I hear it. When they don't, I step back. Because family isn't about DNA. It's about respect, choice, and consistency. If you give without being seen, you become a shadow. If you love without being respected, you become a servant. And if they mock you for trying to belong, stop trying. Shut down the credit line, close the door, and ask yourself, who are you when you're not needed? That's the man I found in Utah. That's the man I became when I stopped financing their contempt. He's not softer, but he's whole. So tell me, was I wrong to walk away? Was I wrong to force them to reckon with the life they built on my back? Or would you have endured it? Would you have stayed, smiled, and paid? Would you?